Meeting to order. All right. I'll go ahead and call the February 7th meeting to order. Can we go ahead and have a roll call?
Absolutely. Ahern, Bathke,
Here.
Janezer,
Here.
Heisler,
Here.
Staber,
Here.
Vincent, Willer.
Here.
Item number 2, we need approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion to approve.
Motion by Staber,
I'll second that motion.
second by Heisler. All in favor of approval signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. So then we move to item number 3, the 2022 North Liberty Comprehensive Plan. And we'll start with a consultant presentation.
Yes, please.
So please go ahead and come to the podium and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Commission. Charlie Cowell with RDG Planning and Design out of Des Moines, Iowa. Get this going here.
Screen's powered on.
It should power with,
It's hidden screen. Oh, okay. I thought.
hold on, let me see if you do.
Something's happening.
Maybe I went to sleep.
Oh, we just had it.
There we go.
Yeah.
Great.
So yeah, today just want to overview the some of the highlights of the plan. Hopefully you've all had a chance to review it and take a look at it, and obviously happy to answer any questions as we move along. Feel free to stop me anytime as we go, and we can answer questions too along the way. So just want to overview the process of where we got to, or how we got to what you see today, the organization of the plan and why it's organized that way. Dive in a little bit more in detail into the future land use map, as that's the a major component of the plan, and then talk briefly about some of the primary recommendations you see in there. I kept the slide in here. Don't need to probably explain this all that much to this group, but the comprehensive plan is really the overarching guide, development policy for the city. Ideally, all other plans and strategies and things that the city does align with the comprehensive plan, most importantly, the zoning ordinance. So this is an important document. It will replace your current comprehensive plan, the 2013 version. And that includes the future land use map, which would be replaced with the version in this plan. We kicked off this process with an advisory committee. You can see the members there, and staff kind of guiding us throughout the way. We met with the advisory committee several times during the process, and they were really there to give us ideas, tell us if we were headed in the right direction, advise on different strategies and things we should be including in the plan. So they were really great in that front, and also getting the word out and making sure we had the public aware of our process. So in a nutshell, we really started kind of trying to understand where we're at today, then looking at where we want to go and sketching out how we want to get there. It was generally a year-long process. We kicked off in November 2021, and then from November, December, and January, we've been making refinements to the version you see in front of you today. You can see just some of the stats there of some of the events we held. Those numbers on the bottom are activities from the public website that is still live, and folks can still go on and download the plan and see some past results and things that we've done throughout the process. We also were obviously around a lot during that past year. We had really good attendance at our design workshops and meeting with staff, our neighborhood ambassador meetings, open houses, meeting with high school students. Really tried to get all the different realms of the community involved at some point throughout this process. Thought this was just interesting. This is a really good summary this was from the community survey of one of the questions we asked, but I think it was a really good summary of really everything we heard at all our events we went to. when we ask people to tell us about North Liberty, about its greatest assets, and then things maybe we should focus on in the future. And you can see family-friendly, parks outdoors, housing quality, all of that are obviously huge assets for North Liberty. And then priority projects, growing local businesses came up quite a bit. Increasing affordable housing was a hot topic from the beginning. Continuing to expand recreational areas and so on and so forth. So these sorts of things, when we started talking to the community and getting our survey responses, really started to form the vision that you see in the plan as it's written. So the organization of the plan is generally that framework piece. So all of that existing condition foundation of where we're at today, what has been trends in the past and what we expect maybe to be trends in the future, laying out the overarching vision and goals of the plan, and then detailing out those specific elements, and then an implementation chapter to kind of set you up for success in implementing it when proposals come forward. We did also want to base this off of Iowa's 10 smart planning principles, so those are referenced in there. And while we don't necessarily have a chapter in there for each one of these elements, they're kind of interwoven throughout the whole planning document. Again, probably don't need to explain these things to you, but the vision statements are the overarching statements that help identify where you want to be in the future. The series of goals and guiding principles, those are kind of the detail that set intentions to achieve the vision, help guide decision making as you get proposals come forward or make decisions. And then the plan also does provide a series of policies and strategies to kind of get started or initial projects or longer term initiatives to move forward. We understand we don't cover necessarily all the policies and strategies, but other planning efforts, other city documents would fit into that realm as well, even if they're not necessarily listed in the plan. So the future land use map is quite a bit different than what you have today, and we really got there with Ryan's help and our committee's help, looking at our past subdivision growth, what kind of trends were we seeing come forward, what we're expecting in the future. Obviously, North Liberty is one of the fastest growing communities in Iowa, and trying to be flexible and understand those different types of proposals that are going to come forward, but also continue to achieve or try to achieve the community vision that we were hearing throughout the process. So here we're looking at a lot of different population forecast scenarios. We ended up landing on, for planning purposes, using about a 3.5% population growth rate annually through 2040, which looks something like this when we translate that to land use needs if we use that 3.5% annual growth. So quite a bit of land we're talking about with a growth rate like that. Of course, these things ebb and flow. It doesn't necessarily going to be 3.5% every year, maybe a down year, maybe up years, but on average, that's kind of the average we would look at. And so approaching all of that land, trying to figure out where the logical placement of that should be and how we should be guiding that, we took 9 basically development principles. So being flexible, protecting the environment, making sure areas are accessible with multiple mobility choices, supporting commerce, being proactive, so getting infrastructure or streets or things in place ahead where necessary, diversity in housing, community amenities, and leading transparently are all kind of things that are, again, interwoven throughout the plan and the document. One thing that we knew was very important, we heard this from the public, we heard it from staff too, was transportation. So we really started out with the bones of looking at the future transportation network. We know there's some pretty obvious connections that need to happen with current street extensions in the central part of the city especially, and then other ones that are longer term projects that likely would happen in the future as well. So the transportation plan you see in the document is really high level. It's flexible in the sense of it identifies, it's more important to look at it from identifying point A to point B, not necessarily the exact route. Detailed engineering studies would determine where those exact routes would be, but the point A to point B connections are what are most important. And so here you see the entire future land use map. You can see it's extended quite a bit further than your current map, and you can see there's a few more colors than your current map as well. And I'll dive into some quadrants here so we can zoom in a little bit. But I want to point out for anyone that might be listening, and obviously there's kind of three important points we'd like to point out about future land use map. One, it's still property owner driven. It's not telling that anybody that they have to do anything with their property. It's when they come to do something, either a development or rezoning or something like that, then this kind of activates the future land use map. It is generalized, so while you do see distinct boundaries here, it is a little fuzzy. There is room for policy discretion in between lines and things, so it's more general than a zoning map would be. A zoning map is more rigid based on boundaries and lines, but it is the overall basis for land use decisions, as you know. So, one thing I've mentioned flexible multiple times. One thing we want to stress with this, and you see in the plan, hopefully, is that each one of these districts shown on the future land use map is meant to accommodate a lot of different types of uses and a lot of different types of arrangements. The idea is trying to keep common characteristics within certain districts, so that may be housing and commercial, but if there are similar characteristics, they could definitely be appropriate together next to each other. And so this table kind of illustrates that with the number of different uses that might be appropriate in each of these future land use districts if they're mixed correctly and follow the vision and guidelines of the plan. So just quickly gonna highlight some of the areas of the future land use map. This is the northwest area of the map, north of Penn Street, generally west of 965. This area, a lot of it is undeveloped today, except for the area along Penn Street, which has got some industrial type growth happening and commercial along directly on Penn Street. This area up here is a pretty long-term growth area. There are some transportation connections and some environmental constraints in this area as well. You can see as parks and open space as a significant portion of part of this area, but mostly residential primarily, except for the west side of the interstate. There's more flex space, which that flexible, that kind of maroon color FLX designation basically means it's a little unique differently than what your current future land use map is today. It's meant to be flexible commercial industrial space, so think it could accommodate heavier commercial uses, industrial uses, warehousing, tech type businesses maybe that have larger footprints. So those types of uses. Where the UHI district, which you see bordering mostly Penn Street there, the urban high intensity, that's going to be more of your commercial, commercial, maybe commercial mixed use with residential, but primarily kind of that highway commercial type development that's you see along Penn and a lot of those core areas today. Moving south of Penn Street, still along the interstate, generally west of Ranshaw Way, you see a continuation of infill residential in the central part of the city here around Centennial Park. That's expected. You're already seeing those types of proposals come forward. So that continues. The main kind of objective here is making sure our trail connections are maintained and increased as development occurs. And obviously transportation as well, north and south and east and west shown here. One area to point out in particular is the location of the University of Iowa complex there in the bottom, the blue color there. Just north of that is kind of a more higher intensity future land use arrangement, anticipating some higher need for services and commercial uses, maybe other things to serve that complex, as well as housing and probably higher density arrangements in that area. There we go. The eastern part of the city, you can see here filling in towards the high school, which is the far blue shade there on the east side of the map. Again, just kind of filling in more of that residential arrangements, maybe some higher intensity and medium intensity along Dubuque Street. Again, the focus here is maintaining and continuing those trail connections, transportation, local street connections in this area. We did hear the need for some maybe more park space in this area, so you see some additional park areas expanded out towards North Liberty Road. Oh, I thought I had one more. So that's kind of the zoom in areas of some of the future land use areas, and we'll dive into a few more areas here as we go. But again, a lot of land to plan for. What the future land use map shows here is quite a bit more than the projections actually. We actually just showed more than is actually you're probably going to see in 2040, but planning ahead just based on we're not quite sure the direction where different interests might go in the future. So diving into kind of what we kind of like to call the teeth, or not teeth, but putting more of a vision to the land use map is the different sections of the plan. So the first chapter deals with the mobility section, so transportation, active bicycle, pedestrian, and vehicular movement. And so this whole chapter puts pretty much the policies in place for implementing those sorts of networks. Most importantly, or at least maybe highlighted the most, is the Liberty Loop concept, which you've seen before in the placemaking action plan. That is included in here and detailed out a little bit more on what that means and what it looks like as far as a community corridor, active transportation circulation loop that would connect destinations, connect park spaces, and kind of be this themed route around North Liberty. Other policies relate to safety, improving, enhancing transportation modes, integrating potential new modes such as things we don't quite know about. Maybe it's electric scooters or whatever that may be, and how we accommodate those in the future. The chapter on spaces and places for tomorrow, this is really all about parks and gathering spaces. So it focuses a lot on new park spaces, enhancing existing park spaces, continuing to invest in existing spaces we have, and then all of those other kind of art and culture elements that can get infused into the community, not necessarily just in parks, but in other public areas and corridors, and creating those experiences throughout the community. Because we did hear a lot about that throughout the process on where we can kind of create these other things to do or places to gather throughout the community. Environment, we do in the plan, there is a whole chapter on that. We heard that loud and clear from the beginning about making sure that we're respecting the resources we have, making sure that we're also being more proactive in strategies to mitigate, whether it's stormwater issues, flood issues, climate issues, making sure that we're being proactive in those things as well. So that's really all that this chapter is about, is setting those goals and guiding principles for those types of decisions. Inclusive tomorrow is a lot of things, but at the core it's neighborhoods and housing and inclusivity within North Liberty. We had really good input from the neighborhood ambassadors throughout this process. We met with them a couple times, and they provide some good insight on what they'd like to see. Obviously, North Liberty and you all are doing a great job already with that neighborhood ambassadors program, and it's really, really a model for a lot of other communities that to take note of. So we built on that, and the goals and guiding principles really focus on making sure if someone wants to live in North Liberty, they have the opportunity to do that, whether it's at their price point, at the housing type that they need to support them, whether they are living here and want to age in their home for many years to come, making sure we have those policies in place to be able to do that. Doing business tomorrow is as it sounds, economic development related. This was a big part also of our discussions on considering the types of businesses you're seeing come in, the types that we expect to come in the future, and where do we have enough land and adequate space to accommodate that, not just from a land perspective, but also from infrastructure, utility supply, and all of those items that go along with that. So this establishes kind of the policy and directions for doing that, building a lot off the economic development strategy that the city's recently been working on. You can see here on the left side, or excuse me, the right side of the screen, just kind of a little more detailed concept for the Cherry Street corridor that we were asked to look into in more detail with all the civic campus and things happening around that area. There's some infill opportunities to really maximize the use of that space around the community center and the library. And so there's a little more detail on a granular level on how that site, that area could fill out more to support more residential uses, more kind of density and activity throughout that area. And then lastly, but definitely not least, and perhaps at times the most important part of the whole plan, but not the most glamorous, supporting tomorrow. So that's all about infrastructure, public utilities, making sure that we're still serving the community residents at, if not the same, in a better quality of life than they have today. So this is all about proactive planning for public facilities and growth. Monitoring and maintaining what we have today as well is just as important. Making sure we're coordinating with our partners that we included in this process, whether that's the school district, other nonprofit organizations, or others that help provide services in the community, is definitely important, and they were all very involved in this process as well. So that was kind of a year, 12 plus month process, a summary that was broken down into 20 minutes. So it's hard to do the pick and choose, but happy to answer any questions or go into any detail on anything you heard tonight.
Thank you. At this point, we will switch to a staff presentation to see if Ryan has anything
great.
to say.
Yep.
And then we'll come back to public comments and questions. Okay?
I always feel the need just to go a little bit longer than him, so mine will be about 23 minutes. Now, just a big thank you to first our advisory staff and RDG. They were just very professional. I mean, they're a Des Moines-based firm. They have offices in Omaha as well, but it was nice to have an Iowa-based firm. They do a lot of work throughout the Midwest and the country. We were doing interviews. From my perspective, what you don't want is a bait and switch where you have somebody selling you their firm, and then all of a sudden somebody else shows up. Well, Charlie was there at the interview and said, no, I'm going to be the point person. We'll have support from the rest of our team, and that's exactly what we got. Super professional. They really adapted to changes that kind of we demanded through the process. And again, our advisory committee was there. Josie was there. Barry was on there, just to kind of check to make sure we were pointed in the right direction. So couldn't be happier with how it turned out. So obviously we recommend approval, and I can put my finding and recommendation up there.
Thank you. And now I'll open it up for public comments. If anyone had any public comments they want to make, you can come introduce yourself. If we don't have any, then I'll move it to questions and comments from the commission. Any?
So the 3.5% growth, it seems like is there some history behind that? And, what have we seen in the past 10 years?
Go ahead,
Yeah, it's a good question. We don't, while we do this as our full-time job, we can't predict the future. So we use our best judgment on past trends. So past trends, construction activity was one thing we looked at in the past 10 years. And I believe the numbers were pretty close. I think they were around 3% from just your construction activity. The past 10 years, from 2010 to 2020, I think your growth rate was like 2.5 or 2%. But when you averaged in 1990 to 2020, it was 3.5 to 4, because there was this big jump between 2000. Anyway, to get to it, we took a lot of different growth rates, combined them together, and did what we thought was best. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and we also tried to, we align that with kind of how we're looking at our water and sanitary sewer system. So we're basing that same growth. So it's an educated guess. I mean, we looked at our trends. We were up very, very high in some, and we were very slow, and it depends on the economy. But 3.5 is kind of where we settled on, and that's what we aligned our water and sewer infrastructure growth as well.
Other questions or comments? Yeah.
I do like the deep dive into the Cherry Street area, because we've lived here for 7 years, and when we came to town, it was like, okay, where's the center of the city? And it's here and it's there. It's piecemeal, and I think that Cherry Street, that idea anyway, starts to pull something together for Cherry Street and all the public activities that are there.
Yeah, and that's something we hear in cities like North Liberty with not a quote-unquote traditional downtown. We hear, where is that gathering base, or what could it be? And North Liberty, while you don't have a traditional downtown, we did hear from people that there is places that they go, that are gathering places that they go already, and the ice cream shop, being one of them, and obviously Centennial Park being one as well. So yeah, it's just building on kind of some great existing assets. Yeah.
I just wanted to comment on the process and how I thought it was like well laid out. This wasn't we got to get it done in 60 days and get something out so we can bill you. It was very planned and methodical. I thought that was really impressive, and trying to take in as many inputs and perspectives as possible. So I really appreciated that.
Good.
And if you look at the 2013 plan, I mean, it's sometimes it's handcuffing. It's residential, commercial, industrial, and what does that mean? It means a lot of things. And we went a lot further. Low density is 3 to 8, and we did medium and high, and more of a concentration on these mixed-use districts instead of being commercial centers. We want to encourage these areas that are mixed commercial and residential to encourage walking and things like that. So it just, obviously from the 2013 plan, it goes, we're miles ahead.
I'm kind of curious on Forever Green Road that it's not considered a major artery, and considering that the hospital is going to be here, I was looking for, I don't know what is it, 5,000 cars a day or something for a major artery? I don't remember what the definition is.
Sure.
Trying to think. I think it is a minor arterial, at least. I know it's designed as such, and when eventually it makes its way out to North Liberty Road, for sure. That'll be one of our major thoroughfares in town, for sure.
Yeah, it seems like it will be. And I think it'll be nice to have some other development to augment the hospital on the other side of Forever Green and see what happens there. Hopefully, a big developer would come in and do something.
Well, that was another one of these areas that, Charlie you talked about the Cherry Street District. This is another one of these areas that we've highlighted that really we want to take another look at and make sure we get right, because it could be something very special for the city of North Liberty. It's very rare that you have a very large piece of land like that across the street from a $500 million development.
Yeah.
Is the city going to take any of what was in here and try to come up with more concrete plans for what they envision to see in certain areas versus just it's property owner driven and developer driven, and these are where we want to see things? But is the city looking at taking some of these thoughts and plans and trying to say, this is what we would really like to see here, we want to put the backing of the city behind it to help make some of this happen.
Yeah, I think when you get to these special area districts, I mean, for me, I'm just trying to keep up with the case, and there are certainly directives I see coming out of this. I see some substantial overhauls to the zoning code in response to this, like the flex area. Like I see another commercial district necessary. When you start looking at areas like the Cherry Street corridor or the area across from the university, we call them small area plans. Yes, I think you would engage the services of a consultant again to do what we call a small area plan. It's not as intensive as a comprehensive plan. It's obviously more focused in a shorter time version. But I think, if the city were serious about it, and we are, because we kind of looked at those areas, you would really want to, but you also need to be careful too. Cherry Street's a little bit easier, but we've got a large piece of land across the street that we really haven't engaged the property owner, and I think we'd want to do that first. But certainly if we highlighted them on the map, that's something that we want to take a step further.
Having previously lived in Coralville, I see it as how do they push the IRL section of town and what they wanted down there, the river landing and the hotel. I'm hoping it's a more balanced approach and not debt-driven for our city.
Yeah.
But-
Well, and Charlie,
It has some financial capability. I mean,
Sure.
you got a lot of tax possibility
yeah.
there.
Charlie didn't mention it tonight, but he's mentioned it a couple of times. It was, think about some crazy idea that somebody had that came to fruition. That started as a wacky idea or an off the wall that'll never happen. And I think we had the, what's your big idea kind of exercise. So,
A lot of work went into this. I greatly appreciate everyone's time that they put in and contributed to making this happen. I think it's a wonderful addition to the city, and hopefully it guides us in the right direction going forward.
Yeah, it really does set the footprint for major growth around here. We're seeing it. And I like the livability issues here and how those are addressed. So thank you.
Yeah, I like the detail that was included in this as well. It's nice to see the concepts, kind of a visual of that, because sometimes when you just see the bullet points, it's hard to visualize, but that's nice. And I like the focus on things like art in the community. Since I've lived here, I feel like that's something that's been kind of missing. So I like all the details and the thoughts that we could see going forward, yeah.
Well, if we don't have any further discussion or questions, thank you. I would entertain a motion for recommendation. Ryan's going to pull that up if you'd like to follow his template. Maybe.
So you're all set.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Right, or we could wing it. He's got
If
it.
you can hear me.
There you go.
I'll make a motion. I'll move that the planning commission accept the listed finding and forward the comprehensive plan to city council with a recommendation for approval.
Motion by Heisler,
I'll second that motion.
second by Willer. Can I have a roll call vote for this, please?
Batke,
Yay. Yay.
Willer,
Yay.
Heisler,
That was I, but sure, yay.
That sounded good.
it's an affirmative. Staber,
Yes.
Janezer.
Aye.
Great. Okay, well, thank you for the presentations and conversations. We'll now move to item number 4, public hearing on the ordinance, and we'll start with Ryan's staff presentation.
okay, so this is an ordinance that directly supports the comprehensive plan. If you recall, we have a moratorium, and it referenced both of these maps. Since we're going away with the old map, we're going to just reference what we will anticipate being the newly adopted map. So that's really all this ordinance does.
And do we have any public comments on this ordinance? If there are none, we'll move to questions and comments from the commission. Anything?
No comment.
This is one of the straightforward ones. Thank that. All right, if there are no further questions or discussion, I'll take a motion.
I'll move that the planning commission accept the listed finding and forward the ordinance amendment to the city council with a recommendation for approval.
Beautiful, thank you. Motion by
Second.
Willer, second by,
I'll
okay,
second.
Staber. Can we have a roll call vote as well, please?
Willer,
Aye.
Batke,
Aye.
Staber,
Aye.
Janezer,
Aye.
Heisler.
Aye.
All right. We'll move to item number 5, establish private street names Emery Place and Quarter Moon Court. We'll start with this Ryan's staff presentation.
Okay, so I should have caught this when the preliminary site plans came through, but this is kind of a learning moment for me. But I should have them label these private streets on the preliminary site plan. We wouldn't have to do this process, so we're coming in kind of behind the, after the fact, if you will. But these are some of the Solomon Landings multifamily development. The one to the left is the multifamily, and the one to the right is kind of the single-family rentals. So you have Emery Place on the bottom, but it's typical that we would name these internal drives for addressing purposes, and the one on the right would be Quarter Moon Place. So pretty straightforward.
Do we have any public comments about the private street names? Ryan, you did say that it was Quarter Moon Court, right?
Yes, I'm sorry if I misspoke.
Spelled with a Q, not a C-O-R-T?
No, it should be a C. It should be a C. So I
So
apologize.
is it court or
It should be
C-O-U-T?
C-O-U-R-T, yes.
not quart like the measurement? I wondered where the,
Order is spelled with a Q.
yes. So thank you for putting this test in front of me, Ryan. When I was reading that earlier, I thought, well, clearly that's some newfangled street name.
Oh, my gosh, I
There it
did.
is, right there.
Well,
This is the measurement, like the jar,
yes.
quart jar.
You know,
Okay.
and somebody had mentioned to me, it said it as that, and I said, no, it's C-O-U-R-T, and right in my head.
Thank you. So that, I
catch.
had started the commission's questions and comments. So we will, at least when we have a recommendation or a motion, to clarify the spelling of what we're approving or recommending.
Yeah, wow.
Any other questions or comments from the commission? Yeah, on everything it's spelled,
Yeah, no, yeah,
So the site plan, you just added the title to the site plan. I mean, that didn't come from the engineer, did it? I mean,
so I added the text to the
that's
to
what
the
I meant.
map.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You added the street name
Yeah.
text. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
I was just going to say, well, it's on the site plan, so that
Yeah,
must be what it is. And
No,
he-
I screwed it up
Russ just
all the
read
way
it off
through.
of that.
Yeah,
kudos for your consistency.
but I like your idea better.
Got it all the right.
Again, I thought this was some new
I like Pat's idea
city
better,
type
though.
of naming structure. So.
That's what I was
some
like,
yeah,
futuristic
unique.
planning.
Yeah, yeah.
Fancy.
They're all.
All right.
Everything is QUART.
I know, the consistency, I got to give it to you. I
How
thought
would you
it,
shorten that? Just QT?
I thought it was
Yeah,
right.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, QT.
Would it just be?
Yeah.
Like the gas station used to be?
Exactly. So if we have no further questions, I would take a motion and,
I move that the Planning Commission accept the listed finding and forward the request to establish private street names to the City Council with a recommendation for approval.
I'll second.
and do we want to add that the street name is spelled C-O-R?
Yep,
Because
we'll
our
just-
packet
Yeah, we'll
is.
we'll
is
just
spelled
view that
Sure,
as
and
a
so a motion to
amend the original motion. I will motion to amend the original motion to add that the spelling of Quarter Moon Court is C-O-U-R-T.
Okay, so we need a second for that.
Second.
I will second it.
You can.
Second by Staber. Did you get that, Tracy?
voice-
Sure did.
There you go.
A voice vote will suffice to pass that motion.
Okay. All those in favor of the amended motion signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Fantastic. Thank you, Grant, for the legal advice. There we go.
Is that it, or
Now
do we need a
now
motion
now
on the
we need-
That was on the amendment.
We need a motion on the we need a vote on the recommendation.
There we go.
first.
And may I have a
Did-
roll call for that
Absolutely.
ultimate vote?
Janezer,
Aye.
Staber,
Aye.
Bathke,
Aye.
Willer,
Aye.
Heisler.
Aye.
I think everyone's earning their money tonight.
Thanks, folks.
Nice job, guys. All right, so we'll move on to item number 6, approval of the previous minutes. You have any comments, suggestions, or do we just have a motion for approval?
I move to approve the previous minutes.
Motion by Heisler,
I'll second that motion.
second by Willer. All in favor of approving the minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, those are approved. Old business? None, we're doing
None.
good, huh?
Yep.
Got it all cleaned up. How about new business? What do you anticipate? Nothing? You've had a night, huh? You're going to leave it at
No,
court?
I'm good.
All
Yeah.
right,
Just
okay.
thinking about if I can name streets pounds or ounces or
Yeah.
grams or
All right, well, if
Quarter
there's nothing
teaspoons.
further, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll move, I motion to adjourn.
Motion by Staber,
Second?
second by Heiser. All in favor to adjourn?
Aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.